China's military wrapped up 2 days of drills around Taiwan, marking Beijing's most extensive war games in the area to date. And joining us now to unpack everything and how it could impact us here in America is Grant Newsham, retired U.S. Marine colonel and former U.S. diplomat. He's now a senior fellow at the Center for Security Policy and the author of the book, When China Attacks. Grant, great to have you here with us as always. We saw one U.S. congressman call the drills less like routine readiness and more like rehearsals. Do you see it that way?
Yes, I do. I would also note that Admiral Samuel Paparo at U.S. Indo-PACOM has said the same thing from about almost a year ago. And he's the guy that has the access to all the intelligence. So I would take him at his word. Also, if you look at what the Chinese have done, the resources they've used, the kind of exercises, and what they have done over the last few years, one takes this very, very seriously. They've got all the pieces in place.
So if this is more like a dress rehearsal, have we learned anything about how the Chinese regime may go about invading?
Well, I think you will see that they're going to use everything they've got and make life very difficult for Taiwan. When I say everything, it means hammering with their rocket force. The air, sea, ground forces will all get involved, cyber, electronic, surrounding Taiwan, operating out to the east of the islands to try and keep any help from getting to Taiwan. And when they talk about help, that means the Americans in particular, to the Japanese to some extent as well. But they've looked at the whole map, and they intend to use everything that they've got. When they're going to use it, of course, nobody knows. But in terms of capability, you look at what they just did and what they've been doing for the last couple of years, and your skin has to crawl. Some analysts say that this is just performative, that they're not going to do anything. But Xi Jinping has said that he's not going to wait forever to settle the Taiwan issue. And I think we would better take him at his word rather than whistling past the graveyard and assuming he's just acting up.
During the drills, the Taiwanese military, they tried to put on a brave face, but would they be able to repel an invasion like this?
I think they could make life very difficult for the People's Republic of China, the People's Liberation Army. The Taiwanese are professional, they're well-trained, and finally, in the last few years, they've got some of the equipment, the hardware, the weaponry that they need to make it's a very difficult voyage for a Chinese invasion force that would come across the strait. Their sort of anti-ship defenses, their air defenses have all improved. And they have got a problem, of course, with fifth column activity that the Chinese communists have set up for a long time, the sort of subversion that takes place. But they do need help from the United States in particular, Japan, Australia, the rest of the free nations. And not just military help, but economic support, political support, and psychological support, which is essential. The Taiwanese unfortunately were isolated for nearly 40 years by the free world, who refused to have anything to do with their militaries by and large. And that's broken down in the last few years, and it has a huge psychological effect in building confidence on the part of the Taiwanese. The Chinese will find, like the Russians did in Ukraine, that these things are not all that easy when you face an opponent that wants to stay free, that wants to survive, and that has the hardware and the sort of the mental discipline to do it. So I think the Chinese would make a big mistake underestimating Taiwan and also underestimating the United States, Japan, and the rest of the free world. Sometimes it takes a shock to wake people up, but that shock just might be coming.
Well, on that point of supporting Taiwan, we saw the United States recently sign a record arms agreement with Taiwan. Grant, looking at the drills that we just saw, how would the United States likely respond if this actually became reality?
Well, the U.S. has a sizable military presence in the Western Pacific. It may not be all that we would like to have, but they could give the Chinese a very difficult time. Perhaps could even sink the Chinese Navy in an afternoon if they made a move to get across the strait. But there's more to it than just military support as well. And that does require other pressure that can be put on the People's Republic of China. So a cut off in energy, cut off in all trade, cut off in food, expose the obscene wealth that Xi Jinping and his leaders have overseas tucked away. Tell the 600 million Chinese living on $5 a day about all that. So there's other pressures that you can put on, and not just a sort of tit-for-tat military matching. I would also note that the Japanese military is professional It has work to do, but if you add in the Chinese Navy capabilities, some of their niche air and outer space capabilities, make it so they can actually operate well with the United States, or better than they can now. And the Chinese have a big problem. Additionally, they have to cover their left flank up in Japan. The Japanese are defending their southern islands that easily reach into the Taiwan Strait. The Philippines as well are willing to put up a fight. So it's not as if would be a pushover on the part of the Chinese Communist Party if they go after Taiwan, despite how much they have been able to build up their military. The U.S. is no pushover at all. And if we have a mind to, we can make life very difficult for the Chinese.
You brought up Japan. We see Japan increasing their own defense budget to, I believe, the highest levels since World War II. They're also concerned about the CCP in that area. Grant, I've got about a minute. What would be the greatest impact on Americans if the CCP did invade Taiwan?
Well, this would be a fight that almost nobody alive even remembers. It would be a global fight, and it would not be limited just to Taiwan. You could easily find targets in the United States getting hit, U.S. bases, U.S. infrastructure. You could expect that to be interrupted, to suffer a lot of damage, in some cases even destroyed. So we used to think we had an ocean between us and trouble. Well, that distance has been erased. So we would feel the effects of this, not least with the Chinese hitting us in different ways. But if you want to see a stock market go down about 30,000 points in an afternoon, wait till that war starts. So the Americans will not be able to stand by. And if Taiwan goes under, then America's finished as a power in Asia. And no country on earth that thinks it has a sort of a promise, explicit or implicit, that the Americans will defend them, is going to have much confidence in U.S. capability to keep them free. So there's a lot at stake when it comes to Taiwan. It's not just some small island 90 miles off of the Chinese mainland. It's very important. And it's important that the administration makes this very clear to the American public, because they have to understand what is at stake. So Taiwan would just be the stepping stone if the Chinese are allowed to take it, and we would feel the effects of it immediately and for some time to come.